not know, you may find a buyer or a supplier in any of the webinars that you're attending. So I always encourage, if you're attending a webinar, please do share your details so that other people or other individuals can also know about your business, and they can also connect with you. So I'll get started with this practice. So by sharing my details, and then you all can also do the same. So I'm just adding my details and sharing here, and then we'll get started in one more minute. So I can still see a lot of members are still joining in, and I hope my audio is clear to everyone. In case you're having any difficulty in hearing me, please let me know. You can let me know by the method of chat. So you can just chat me if you're having any difficulty in hearing my audio. In addition to that, especially for the members who are joining in using their smart devices, especially their smartphones. So I'll request that you kind of rotate the phone and view it in on a landscape. So that's where it becomes the screen is wider, and I'll be sharing a presentation here. So you'll be able to see that on a bigger screen. All right, so I can see already members are sharing their details. They are also sharing details about their online store. That is really nice. In my contact details that I've chatted to everyone, if you see, I've also sent a WhatsApp link. So you can directly click on that link and you'll be able to send me a WhatsApp instantly. So you don't have to save my contact details, etc. So, all right, this is where I'll start the presentation, and then we'll get started. And unlike many of the webinars that we attend, so a lot of them are just one-way information where one person is talking or few persons are talking, and it is all gyan, and gyan. Whereas we don't do that kind of webinar. So this is an interactive webinars, and I'll not allow any one of you to go to sleep during this webinars. We'll keep it interactive throughout the sessions. I'll keep asking you questions. And again, the content that I am going to share here is very engaging and important. So let's get started, and let's get started with this journey. And you can continue on with sharing your information with other prospective buyers and suppliers. So this is where I'll start sharing my screen, and then we'll get started with today's webinar. So in next few seconds, you'll start seeing my screen. Today's webinar. I hope everyone is already aware. So we'll quickly move on to the next slide, and let's get started with today's session. So firstly, a brief introduction about myself, and I'm assuming a lot of you know me very well. In a lot of sorry, I accidentally activated annotation. So let me turn that off. Yeah. So a lot of members might be knowing me personally, but let's have a quick round of introduction for myself. So my name is Adnan, and I'm Director SME e-commerce growth at GlobalLinker. I have more than 1.5 decades of experience, and my focus areas or roles are GlobalLinker's e-commerce platform, Linker.store, and other strategic initiatives in India and Philippines and other countries as well. And then in addition to that, I regularly conduct webinars and training sessions. And so far, I have conducted more than 300 sessions that include training sessions and webinars, and trained more than 10,000 SMEs in India and Philippines. So more than 10,000 people have benefited, and they are now using the information that I've shared with them to digitize and grow their business digitally. All right. Now, you might be knowing, but this is where we are doing a special series of webinar, and today's webinar is the last webinar in that series. So this is entirely around the fashion industry. So how you can create your online store, how you can make it more engaging, how you can upload a product so that people can see it and they are attracted and engaged to know more about it, and then you get an order out of it. So those were the two sessions that we have done earlier. So this was the first session where I have demonstrated how you can create an online store for yourself. And this is the second session where I've demonstrated, and this is a very important session. So even if you are not from the fashion industry, you should review this session, the bottom one, which is here, create an online catalog that boosts sale, because this is where I've given frameworks and tips on how you can write the ideal product title, ideal description, and ideal meta information, and how should be your images, etc., so that the product is presentable. Because the fundamental fact that everyone should keep in mind is that on an online store, product is selling itself. So there is no one that is explaining the product to the customer. Product has to explain itself to the customer. And unless you are not adding the information in the right way, product will not be able to do that. And if it is not able to do that, what will happen? You'll not get sales, and that will impact. So no matter how much money you're pumping into advertising, your sales will not grow unless you have an engaging website. And these are very simple and easy to use tips that you can use to create an engaging website. And especially product is like heart and core or soul of an e-commerce website. So that's where if you have a powerful core, you will be able to engage, attract, and convert customers very easily. All right, so let's get started now. I will be sharing links to these webinars during the session itself or after the session. Otherwise, they are available on our YouTube channel. So that's where you can go, and GlobalLinker's YouTube channel. And you can go and you can review these webinars. So let's move on to today's discussion. So firstly, let's understand what are the topics that we'll be discussing in today's session. So we'll understand the buyer's journey. We'll understand from the very basic, and then we'll try to understand how you can leverage social media, what are the platform which is a good platform. And then we'll understand about planning, how you can plan out. And this is where, again, I'm specifying this is not a Gyan session. So this is where I'll be giving you a framework, which is a downloadable, which you can download and utilize it. Different planning tools we'll be sharing with you. Then what are the popular promotional tools, how you can utilize them, what are their strengths, weaknesses, etc., that we'll be discussing. Then you have how you can measure success. That's where, again, I'll be giving you a framework. I'll be giving you a tool, a table that you can utilize to measure your success. And lastly, we'll have the question answer discussion or open house discussion. All right, let's get started with the first topic on our discussion list here today. That is understanding the buyer's journey. And let's move on. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll be starting from very basic. So this is not where we'll immediately get into very technical stuff, and it almost 90% of it goes above the head. So we'll start and we'll keep the things that anyone and everyone can understand. So let's get started. So we are starting with a traditional buying process in a typical store. Let's take an example how the buying process happens. So let's see how it happens. So this is where you have your store, and then a customer walks in and they tell you they are interested to buy a t-shirt. So what do? You show them certain options. So these are the options that you show to them. And that's where customer selects one of the option that they are liking, the blue t-shirt. So then you pack it and give them the bill. This is the bill. They give you the money. Here's the payment, and then you hand over the packet. So that's how a typical buying process happens. Now you might be wondering, why am I explaining this? Because this is something which everyone knows. So why I'm explaining. So let's move on to the next slide, and that's where you will be able to relate to it. So this is how a typical buying process or experience was happening. Moving on, and this is a traditional business promotion ecosystem that I'm showing to you. So this is where if you connect the dots, you'll be able to relate to it. So that's what is happening inside the store. Now, how to bring the customer, what is happening outside the store. So let's also understand that. So this is where you're seeing we have the customer, and then we have the business. And the third pillar, that is orders or revenues. So your first objective is to bring customers to the store, which is also popularly known as advertising. What is all included into it? So I'm listing out the traditional methods which were used to promote brick and mortar stores predominantly. So newspaper ads, pamphlets, which are even more popular than newspaper ads these days, hoardings, many businesses use if they can afford it. Posters, cable TV ad was very popular earlier. Now still it works, but only in smaller cities and town because of the DTH, etc. Then radio ads still continues, TV ads if for the larger businesses and who can afford it, that still continues. And then coupon mailers. So that's where this exercise does not continue on the grand scale that it used to be there many years earlier. So that's where all the loyal customers will get a letter from the company with coupon code. So discount coupons. So like these days we get an email. That's where it was a physical letter that will come to the customer. So that was another practice which was greatly used to incentivize and attract customers to the business. So now we understand how the customers were getting attracted and how they were being brought to the business or store. Now, how do you convert them? So that's where the second pillar or the second element in the ecosystem comes into play. And that is called sales promotion. And this is where you have the customer now, they know about your business, they are interested to understand more, but they are with you to understand that requirement in the previous slide. So they came to buy a t-shirt. So that kind of an example. So now here, how do you promote that? So what were the tools that we were used, and they are still used? It is not that they are not used. So price discount is a popular tool. So that's where product is worth 1,000 rupees, and now you are selling it for 700 or 800, giving a 20 or 30% discount. Then coupon code is still a very common tool which is used. Lucky draw is another promotional tool which is used. Then you have free products. Sorry, I think I clicked on. Sorry. Yeah. So free product was the another tool which was used. So now move on. Let's move on to the modern business scenario. So far what we have understood how the transaction was happening, what were the advertising elements which were used, and what were the sales promotion techniques which were used. Now what has changed in the modern ecosystem, which is the digital ecosystem, where you have your online stores, which are used to attract customers and get orders online. So this is where we'll keep the elements of the traditional brick and mortar or the physical ecosystem at its place, and we'll just add elements of the digital ecosystem. So in the advertising space, or where you are bringing to the customers to the online store, what new has happened? So let's have a look. So that's where, so now you have social media posts, you have social media ads, you have search ads, which work on search platforms. So that's where you type in something, I'm looking to buy shoes, etc. That's where those results start appearing. Then you have display ads. So display ads are basically displayed across websites which have high engagement or high traffic footfall. So that's where you'll see certain banners running with ads. So those are display network ad. Then you have remarketing ads. So you can also run these kinds of ads wherein you visit or a customer visited your online store, they were looking at certain products. Now, even if they haven't bought that product, or if they haven't bought that product, so that's where wherever they'll go in throughout the display network, they'll keep seeing that product advertisement. Then you have video ads, which are very popular these days and a very powerful advertising element. Then you have emailers, which is again very powerful. And then finally, messaging that includes SMS and WhatsApp, etc. Now, what has happened on the other side of the chain, that is towards the sales promotion. So with the advent of digital technology, now you have price discount, which was earlier as well. Then you have discount coupon. Now they are far more advanced and they have more capability. Then you have free product, which existed earlier. Now it is more advanced and has more features. Then you have contest, and then you have registration discounts. So anyone coming to your online store, you can offer them a discount. Hey, coming to my online store here is register with us and get a discount on your initial purchase. And then you have tiered discounts. So that's where you can also offer incremental discounts. So you're buying one item, you'll get 10% off. You're buying two items, you'll get 15% off, or it can be done order wise as well. So 1,000 rupees order, you'll get a 10% off. 2,000 rupees order, you'll get 15% off. So likewise, you can also do a tiered discount and short-term discount. So that's the real capability of digital technology, that you can run short-term discount periods. So that Short term can be as short as a few minutes as well. So as long as a year or more than a year, or as long as few minutes as well. Now, let's keep these elements here. Now, what else has happened with the advent of the digital ecosystem? So earlier, the customer was predominantly your neighborhood customer. So that neighborhood's definition varies from business to business. For certain businesses, it will be customers living very close to the business establishment, and for other businesses, it may be within the city, etc. But it was predominantly neighborhood customer. But with advent of digital technology, now it is global customers. So it is not necessary you're marketing only to the people who are living close by or who are from the same city. You are also marketing to people who are living in other cities. So, for example, a shoe manufacturer based out of Agra can market to even a customer sitting in US or Europe who want to buy good leather shoes from them. So likewise, now the entire world is your trade area. Your store, which was functional only from, let's say, 8 to 8 p.m. in evening, now is 24/7, 365 days a week. And then with respect to the sales promotion campaign, they have become more dynamic and flexible. So dynamic means it can be rapidly changed. So based on the feedback or based on the response that you're receiving from your audience, from your customers, you can keep it more dynamic, and flexibility is but obvious. With digital, the biggest advantage that you get as a business owner is the flexibility. So in a physical space, if you're changing a campaign, because there's a lot of tail end activities that are involved to implement that, including the entire marketing material, etc., etc. So that's where the flexibility is not there. Whereas with digital, you can shift and you can do the change within matter of minutes. In addition to that, you also have the speed, so you can do or make changes very quickly. You can do or run campaigns for short term. You can run multiple campaigns, and then customer can choose which offer they would want to subscribe to, and then you can be more responsive. And that's what I was explaining while I was explaining about dynamics. So that's where you can understand your customer's reaction, and based on that, you can be responsive and keep making the desired changes. Let's move on, and this is where on the discussion starts getting very interesting. So when you have understood what all has changed with digital and technology, and what was the traditional process, what was the modern process, what all new elements are getting added. Now here, whenever as a business owner, you are wanting or you are thinking of promoting your business, that's where you have to start at ground zero. And the ground zero is defining or understanding who is your customer. And then everything gets built up on top of it. So your ground zero or your ground level is understanding or defining who is your customer, because this is where a lot of business don't focus on that, and that's where they end up spending a lot of marketing money, and they don't get the desired returns. So that's where the most important, understand your customer or define your customer. And how can you do that? I'll be explaining in this slide. So understand who is your customer. And this is a question that a lot of people face. So this where let me click on this button and take you to a Google Sheet. And that's where I will explain to you how you can define your customer. So, and again, before clicking on it, I'm repeating this again for everyone's reference that I'll be providing link to this Google Sheet, so need not worry. And the link will also be added to the recording of this webinar on our YouTube channel. So you'll have access to it. So you'll be able to copy it and utilize it. So need not worry, just focus on understanding the information that I'm sharing with you here. So let's click on the link. Sorry, I think we'll have to just quickly switch the screen. Or let me reshare the screen, because I am not sure whether I was sharing the entire screen. So this is the Google Sheet that I am referring to. So let's understand. Now here, when you have to, and in this Google Sheet, you'll notice there are a number of these sheets. So we'll keep on discussing one by one. But at this moment, what we are trying to do is to define the ideal customer. And how can you do that? So this is where you can use this sheet, and I've added the elements or the questions that you have to answer. So let's start with the demographics. So this is where you have the age of the customer. So it is age group, so between 18 to 25 or 20 to 35. So depending on your business requirement and the product category that you have. Then you have gender, so male, female, unisex. You can define that. Income level, what kind of income level? So a high income level, middle income, low income. So you can define them. Educational level, so there are certain product categories where the educational level is also important. Then marital status, unmarried, married, you can, and then family size. So it is for nuclear families or joint families. So for example, Maruti yesterday launched Ertiga. It is a product which is more suitable for larger families or joint families, right? So that's where, again, from your product standpoint, define the family size. All right. Now let's move on to the next element that you have to define, or where you have to add the answers. One is what kind of lifestyle you are looking at. So in case of any particular lifestyle habit that you are looking at, you can define that what are the goals of those individuals, especially with reference. So not the life goals or what they are trying to achieve, but with reference to your product or category, what is they trying to achieve? What are the pain areas or the pains or challenges that these customers faced, and that will get resolved by using your product? Or and what are the specific habits that your product may give an answer to? So for example, there are those tablets which help people quit smoking. So if you're in that kind of product category, then smoking will be an answer here. Then kind of values. So values basically means conservative kind of a customer or a modern customer, those kinds of, or interests. So what kind of hobbies they have, traveling, those kinds of hobbies, you can add those. Then you have behavioral elements. So this is where what kind of engagement you would be looking at from the customer, how ready they should be to buy. So this is where within 1 week, a week to 10 days. So readiness of buy, purchase history, that also becomes important. Then product usage, satisfaction, how satisfied they will be with your product, loyalty or account age, so for how long they'll be associated, and attention required. So attention required is basically how much attention you'll have to provide to them with respect to keeping them with your organization and with your product. And then you have geographic data, which is very simple: country, region, area, city. So once you have filled this form, so that's where it is not necessary that you fill up the entire thing and you'll have the exact answer to everything. You can keep improvising it with the time, but this should give you a rough sketch of what your customer should look like. So that is the first step, or that's how you will be able to define your customer. So let's get back to our presentation. So this is where we have understood how you can define your customer. Let's move on to the buying process. And this is where you can read on the left side of the screen that it is the modern buying process. So how is it different? So this is where we'll start from the first stage, that is interest or awareness. And that's where now you can see the interest or awareness, where the person is now looking out, or they are made aware this particular product exists. So that is through social media or post or your search ads. So they're looking for something, and that's where your ad pops up, or your different ads that you're running, display or remarketing or video ads, email message, or even offline ads. So that's where they either you have inculcated that interest or you have created that awareness. The second stage is this stage, which is the search stage. And this is where they are searching for a product. So in the first stage, what has happened was either they were they had an interest, so that's where they come across about your business, or somehow they come to know that this particular product exists, and that's where they now want to understand more, and that's where they have moved to the second stage in the buying journey, and that's where it is either they are searching, so your results gets displayed on the organic search. That's the first one. Second is search ads, or they are looking for like doctors nearby or petrol pump or restaurants near me. So likewise, you can also search, so that is near me, or directories or maps. So that's where they are searching for solution providers who can provide solution to their requirement. Now, once they have found that these are the providers who can provide me with the product or service that I'm wanting to buy, that's where they get into a research mode. Now, this research mode varies from product category. So if it is something that is not of a significant value, so that's where obviously your research is not that significant. However, if you are buying a product, so let's say you're buying a laptop, that's where you'll be researching, or you are buying a car, that's where you'll put in a lot of research into that. So it varies from product to product and how extensive it is, but how the research is done. So it is typically done through customer reviews, social media posts, word of mouth, or blogs or articles. And then the fourth stage is the purchase stage. So this is where either they are buying from your online store, or if you have a physical presence, that's where they will be buying from you. Now comes the fifth stage, which was not very predominant in the physical or brick and mortar stores, but this is a significant thing here, because you can see the arrows on the top here, because this will come back here and impact on your future customers. So that's where, as business owners, this becomes very much important. So what does that include? Which is basically the experience that the customer is having, and that's where you have after sales. So in case your product or services that you're providing requires after sales service, so you should focus on that post purchase experience. How has been the post purchase experience? You encourage them to write a review, you encourage them to write a blog if they can, or a positive word of mouth. So it is not only that the customer has made a review, so you have given a good product to them, they are very satisfied to it. So this is where your role does not end there. Your role is to now ask them, or somehow motivate them to write a review, because that will influence the other people. So that's where you can see influence other customers' decision. So it goes back into the third stage, and that is where your future customer who are researching, if you are making your satisfied customers write a review, that's where your future customers purchase decision becomes easy, because now they can see, okay, they have given such a nice product, this person is satisfied, so this is a okay product, let's proceed ahead and let's buy it. So that's why this is important. Let's quickly go on and let's have a look at the framework. So again, as I promised, we'll be giving these framework for each of these important sections, which you can utilize. So let's switch the screen, and we are in the buying process framework. So this is where what you have to do is you have to define here in terms of buying process what all activities that you have to do at each stage. So I've just put in few elements or few action points. Now you can add more rows, and you can add, I've just added 5 points. So it is not necessary that you also have to add or do just 5 activities. You can do more or less depending on your business's requirement or your product's requirement. So firstly, let's understand about the first element, which is interest or awareness. How does the interest or awareness get created? So you have a product, so that's where you are doing a social media post. So what all actions are required? So that's where you have to create a social media calendar. You have to do the post yourself, or you have someone who will be doing the posts regularly based on the calendar that you have created. And then you do a engagement analysis. So how many views or how many clicks or comments or likes or shares you are getting on that. So likewise, social media post is one example on your search ads or your social media ads or your emailers. So likewise, you can create action points, and then you know that for this stage, these all are the activities that we have to do to create more interest and awareness amongst the customer about our products. Let's move on to the second point, that is search. So this is where I've added a very basic element, and this is something a lot of businesses don't do. That is adding Google Business Listing, which is a very simple thing to do. So add Google Business Listing, link your online store, get reviews and ratings added to it. So it is not just add the Google Business Listing. That's where, again, encourage customers to add reviews and ratings there. That will also help your business, especially with respect to stage 2. That is where people are searching, and that's where they found your Google Business Listing. And that's where, if it does not have reviews, or if does not have good reviews, that's where, again, they'll drop off and you'll lose customer and sales there. Then you have the research stage, and that's where I have added customer reviews, which is the most powerful one in the stage. So get customer reviews. So that's where you can encourage customers to write a review. And one of the very common thing that people do is to give a discount coupon to the customer. So like, we are happy that you like our product, and here is a token of appreciation from our side. It will be really great if you can come and you can write a review. Almost every one of them will not write, but few of them will be interested. Okay, this guy is giving me a discount, let's write a review, and many of them will write the review. Now, the challenge part with the reviews is that the customer will write a review on their own if they are dissatisfied. If they're happy, there is very unlikely that they'll come and write a review unless you are giving them a reward. And this is where discount coupon can be a reward, right? So that's how, and then you can reward the customer to do that. So I've added the action points there. Again, you can keep adding the action points as per your requirement. Now, purchase online is, or the purchase is the 4th stage. And this is where you have the activity, which is online purchase. So firstly, and this is all related to your online store. So that's where you should have a very nice product discovery. So if I'm a customer, I come to your online store. So in the navigation, I should easily be able to find the product within 2 to 3 clicks. Product should be presentable, and it should be presented nicely. It should have nice images, or it should have good quality or good clarity images. And then it should be described properly, and adequate information should be provided. And then the 4th element, which is policy or process information, should also be provided. So you can't expect a customer to go to your policy page and review them. You should add that information in the product detail as well. I've told that in my previous webinar as well. And then the payment method should be available. So if the customer wants to pay you using digital method, it should be available. If they want to pay using cash on delivery, that should also be available. And then shipping fee, etc. What all is there, it should be clearly defined. All right, so that's where you are making the purchase journey or the purchase experience pleasant for the customer. And that's where you can also add like a thank you emailer or a feedback emailer that you're seeking from your customer. Lastly is the experience. So that's where I've added delivery, which is the very basic part. So in that, what is your average delivery time? What kind of communication that you're sending to the customer? So when the product is shipped, are you sending any communication? When the product is delivered, are you sending them a communication? Is your support or help desk which is available? So in case customer wants to inquire, they can reach back to you and post delivery feedback. Are you taking any feedback? So probably 1 week after the delivery or 10 days after the delivery, are you taking a feedback from the customers to understand how has been their experience? And if you know that their experience was really good, and that's where you can now ask them or request them to write a review, which will benefit you in getting more orders from the customers, which are in this research stage or the 3rd stage in their buying process. So this is the modern buying process framework. You can keep adding more elements to it depending on your business requirement and how you're creating interest and awareness, or how you're enabling your business to be found and searched online when the customer is looking for solutions for your product. All right, so this was the framework, and again, you can fill in the information and you can utilize it. The objective of sharing these framework is that because many of the businesses, when they are thinking of advertising or doing digital advertising, that's where they are not thinking of these activities. And if you do these activities, that's where you have a lot more clarity in terms of you have to proceed ahead. Where do you have to focus? Because now you know where your customer is, whether it is on Google on the search platforms or it is on social media platforms, and what kind of demographics, etc., are there, so you can approach it appropriately or accordingly. All right, so let's move on to the next slide, which is common mistakes a lot of people do while defining this process or with respect to digital marketing itself or business promotion itself. The first mistake is total dependency on any agency. So this is which is very fundamental, that any external agency or any third person will not have the same kind of interest in your business as compared. So they are more interested in your revenue. So that's where you should not be totally dependent. And when I'm saying that, I'm not saying that you yourself become a digital marketing expert. Let's outsource it. But the basic details should be available, or you should be aware what is happening and what are the benchmarks which are there. So at least try to put in that effort, so you are aware what are the benchmarks which are there, so you can evaluate other person's performance. Because if you are not aware, you are not knowing how good or bad the other person is working, right? Because it is a totally blank thing for you. So that's where at least understand, or at least, because the entire information is available on the internet, so you'll probably spend a week or 10 time and you'll have enough information or enough knowledge at least to understand what are the broader four walls within which the person has to perform and where they are standing in terms of their journey. So that's the first mistake that a lot of businesses do, not testing the approach. So this is the second area where we have seen, or when we have noticed that a lot of businesses do mistake. And that is whenever you're thinking of doing an approach, or whenever you're thinking of launching a campaign, always do a beta test, or always do a small test and understand how your customer is behaving. And especially for startups and all, it is always recommended that when you're initially launching, try it out with friends and family. So that's where you can also have a dry run of your internal processes, and you can also have very candid feedback from the customer, because a typical customer may or may not share the same kind of feedback or comfort with you, and that's where you may not get those insights. So that's where it is always recommended that you do a small test with your friendlies, understand their feedback, and then you open up the floodgates and you start going large scale. The third is not leveraging offline customers. And that's where, again, very often it has been seen that when a brick and mortar business is digitizing itself, so they get kind of this sense that our online store will be catering to entirely different audience. So it is not catering to our existing audience, which is not the case. As a business, you should firstly look at your existing customer base. Tell them, hey, we are now also online, so if you want to buy, come to our online store and you'll be able to buy. And that's where you can have instant engagement with them. So try out with them instead of going out and attracting other people who are not yet your customer, because that's where you'll be spending more money and you'll be spending more effort, because firstly you'll have to build that confidence and all that, and then only you'll be getting orders. But with your existing customer, because they know you, they already have a trust and faith in you, that's where your probability of getting orders with them is a lot higher, and your cost or effort will be significantly lower as compared to newer audience. So always focus on your existing customer base and always leverage your existing customer base if you have that. Not making calendars and plans. So this is where, again, just starting to advertise. So just hire an agency and start advertising. Where are you going? What is the plan? How many posts in a week? How many ads are you running? Which all platforms you are running? What kind of bids you are looking at? So nothing as such, just shooting in the dark. That is another big mistake that we have seen. Not measuring the outcome. A lot of businesses do that, but they don't do it holistically, or they don't put it under the microscope and try to understand what is happening. So it is not working for us. It is probably, or a lot of businesses I've heard saying that I'm not getting any order from our online store. Okay, I asked them back, how many people are visiting your online store? They have no clue. So when it is not even clear, one person or 1,000 persons are visiting your online store, how can you have that expectation that you'll get X number of orders? Firstly, you have to ensure that these many people are coming to your online store. And if then you are not getting orders, that's where you investigate and find out why I'm not getting those orders. Is my prices high, or my product presentation is bad, or there is something fundamentally wrong with my website, it is not opening up or something. So that those are the areas that you have to, so you have to go systematically. But measuring the outcome, just having expectations will not work. You should also have a measurement framework so that you can understand what is happening with your website. And that's where you can take corrective actions to ensure that your goal, which is to get orders, is achieved. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. Leveraging social media, and this is, I'm assuming a lot of people know that. I'm just rebrushing your knowledge or adding a little on top of it. So firstly, let's understand what are the popular social media platforms. So on the top, we have Facebook, which has 2.835 billion users, and it is a very good platform to build brand loyalty. Then we have YouTube, which is closely following it, and this is a great platform for brand awareness and education. Then we have Instagram, which is very good platform to build relationship and conversations. Then you have LinkedIn, which is a professional networking platform, and which is for a very good platform for B2B or business development. And then you have Twitter, which is a good platform for public relations and reputation management. So that's where you'll see a lot of large platforms will have their teams working on Twitter and answering to customer grievances, etc. For many organizations, the entire grievance management happens on Twitter itself. All right, so now this is where the question that you have to answer is which platform is good for you. And this is where you have to understand by looking at your ideal customer, because you have already understood who is your ideal customer, or you have already defined the ideal customer. So, and that's where looking at your ideal customer and looking at your buying process, you will be able to decide which are the platforms that you should focus most. It is suggested that you should be there and be present on all the social media platforms. These are touch points, so let's not overlook any of the customer touch points that you have. However, there are certain platforms that are more valuable to you as compared to the other platform, because your customer is there. So that's where what are your focus areas, or what are the platforms to be receiving more focus from your side. That will be totally guided by your ideal customer's profile and the buying process. All right, so this is where let's move on to the next slide with again reference to social media. What are the common mistakes? Not creating a mood board. This is something which we have observed a lot of businesses didn't do. And why mood board is important, because that's where it gives consistency to all the posts or engagement that you're doing on the social media platform. Otherwise, your entire post or entire brand starts looking haphazard, and it does not have a kind of consistency. And a kind of consistency comes when you have a mood board, and that's where the entire brand imagery or positioning stands out and you're able to relate to it. Not having a plan and calendar. So I've already defined that. This is where, again, even with your social media posting, I'm not referring to the advertising part, but even for the social media posting that you are doing, that's where it is important that you have a plan and a calendar. Then you have being too product focused. That's another challenge that we have seen. That is where all the posts and the entire communication, everything which is happening on the social platform is all about product. That is nothing in terms of what are the benefits the customer will be getting. And that's where, so for example, Royal Enfield is one player that has done it very differently. So their post or their platform or their social presence, if you'll see, they rarely focus on the product. So it is entirely on the lifestyle that they represent. And that's where they are so good at. Or Red Bull is another example in the same area. So they never focus on the product. So not even a single visual you may see is of the product itself. It is entirely around the lifestyle. Then not utilizing all the platforms. So this is where once you understand where your customer is, when you have done your profiling part, that is where you will be able to understand which are the important platforms, and you'll be able to focus more on that. But having said that, you should utilize all the platforms. You should be present on all the platforms. Now your intensity at which you'll be engaging or doing post or adding content may vary. So if a platform is not so engaging for you, but still you have to have a presence there, because it is a customer touch point and you may find a customer there. So that's where you may tone it down or be not so actively present there, but you should be there on all the platforms and not measuring the outcome or success. So that's where, again, for your social media posts that you're doing, you should understand what kind of engagement which is happening. And that's where you can, again, measure it very easily. So what post, what kind of engagement have you received with that? So we'll discuss that more in this section of the presentation, which is planning the actions. And firstly, let's understand why planning is important. So I'll just quickly take you through, because these are something which all of us are already aware. So this is where you are firstly are able to work systematically. Then you have a better coordination amongst your teams. You can do a progress review at any stage, and you'll be able to measure the success. Now, quickly jumping on to understand the social media calendar and digital marketing calendar. And this is where, again, I'll switch the screen and I'll take you to the Excel file that I was sharing with you earlier. So I have also added the social media calendar, and this is how it typically looks. So we'll start from the extreme left side, from the first column, that is the day and date, and then you have the topic. So topic does not mean the post that you're doing, it is a topic. So this is where it can be about a product that you're talking, or a health benefit that is related to that product, or a lifestyle element that is related to that product. So that is where what is the highlight or what is the theme of that post, it has to be covered in the next column. Then you have post content, so the text part of it, the visual part of it, so image or video, if it can be added here, so you can add a link here. Then what are the hashtags? So these are also important. So what are the hashtags which are included into that post? And then you can decide which all platforms you have to do that post. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So you can decide which post will go there, where. All right, so once this is done, so till this column, this is entirely planning. So this is where you're planning out what needs to be done and on which day I'll be posting what are the elements or visuals which are available, and on which platforms we'll be doing the post. So this is the entirely planning part. And this is the monitoring or review part of it. And this is where how many impressions were there on the page. There is a typo, it is like. So how many likes were there, how many shares were there, how many comments were there. So you can add all these. So it will help you understand which are the topics or the themes that are getting most engagement from your customers. And that's where you can decide to tweak your social media or your social calendar outlook, and you can have more themes related to that, where your customer is more engaging and they're more interested to engage with you. So this is the social media calendar. The other part that we have to discuss is the advertising plan. So let's also have a look at it. And this is also included in the same Excel file. So this is the advertising plan, and again starts with month and week. So this is where we can probably go with a weekly plan. If you want, you can do it fortnightly or a monthly plan, depending on your requirement. I've just added month and week, and then you can decide what is the platform. So this where on which platform you'll be running the ad. Then what is the content or the product that you're highlighting. Then what budget have you allocated to this particular advertising campaign. what is the advertising text or ad text, what are the visuals which are there, and then you also specify your targets. What is your expectation? Now, initially when you're starting off, you'll be just putting them based on the research that you're doing or based on the understanding that you'll get from your digital marketing agency, and just add those here for your reference. And then once it is implemented, add information here in the achievement columns that you're seeing on the extreme right side of the screen. So firstly, you have targets. So how many impression, that is views, and how many visits, so clicks, basically how many orders, and in terms of revenue, how much revenue did you receive. And then you have achievements in terms of impressions, visits, orders, revenue, and ROI. What was the ROI? So all that information should be added here. So this will basically not only help you in listing out and planning what kind of ads or advertising you are doing, on which platform you are doing, and then also setting out your expectations in terms of what kind of targets you are looking at, and then what was the achievement. So on a single table, you'll be able to compare your performance and then evaluate where it is not up to the mark and where you have to improve it further. So this was the advertising plan. Let's quickly go back to the presentation. So these are the two digital marketing and social media calendar frameworks are also available in that Google Sheet, which you can utilize when you are planning out your activities. Then what are the popular promotional tools which are there? So this is where, again, looking back on to that second slide that we saw earlier, that's where I have shown the physical and the digital buying process, and what were the tools which were used for advertising and which were used for sales promotion. Now, this is where, when we are talking about sales promotional tools, we are focusing on this side of the screen, the right side of the screen, which is where the customer is already there. Now you are focusing on converting that customer. So how can you incentivize or encourage that customers to place an order onto your online store? So how can you do that? So that's these are the tools that we'll be discussing them here. So what are the promotional tools? Let's have a quick look at them, and we'll quickly discuss these one by one. So the first promotional tool is price discount, which is one of the simplest and the oldest promotional tools that you may have noticed. So this is where product is worth 1,000 rupees and you're selling it for 800 or 700, giving 20 or 30% discount. So that is the first promotional tool which is used. Second is discount coupon. So it is a time-tested tool which is not only capable. So one of the unique aspect with discount coupon is that it is not only used to encourage customers to place an order once they are on your online store. You can also encourage, or you can also use this tool to bring customers to your online store. So that's the other USP or discount coupon schemes or offer. They are automatic, flexible promotional tools. So one of the biggest advantage with schemes or offers is that these are autonomous tools, so they work automatically and you'll be able to utilize them. Sign up discount is a feature which gives you instant engagement. So the moment the person has stepped in, if you're showing them an overlay that sign up and we'll give you a discount. So that's where a lot of customers are incentivized to place an order, because they are giving an instant discount then and there. So that's another very powerful promotional tool that is seldom utilized to its potential. And finally is free shipping. It is not as powerful as compared to all the other tools or the four tools that we have discussed here. But again, it is very powerful, especially it incentivizes the people to place a higher value order. So if you're giving free shipping beyond a particular order value, that's where they are obviously incentivized. They'll be able to save shipping, or if you are giving free shipping within a particular period of time. So for example, from 20th April to 30th April, anyone who's placing an order will get a free shipping. So that's where the customer knows, at least I'll be saving something by placing order in this duration. So that's another utilization of the free shipping tool. Now, coming to the most important part, that is measuring success. Now, let's review the framework which is available, which you can utilize to measure the success. And I'm confident that you'll find this particular tool very useful. So this is where you'll see the first columns are for month and date. The next column is source. So this is where what was the traffic source, so from where the traffic was coming. Second was the location. So what was the geographic location which was there. Visits means how much traffic came to your site. So that's where I've added 100 just as an example. Bounce rate is the customer came to your website and immediately they left. So it is called bounce rate, and it is tracked by Google Analytics. So this is where if you have a high bounce rate, that means the traffic which is coming or the customers visiting your online store, they are not of the right profile. So that's where, from a customer's point of view, they get a link, they click on it, and once they reach the website, we are not a right place. So that's where they are getting that feeling, and immediately they are closing the website. That leads to bounce rate. Now, if you have a high bounce rate, that's where the fix that you have to do in your advertising is related to aligning your ads or modifying the profiling that you have set while you're running your ads, so that you have the right kind of customers visiting your online store. Or you're running ads on wrong keywords as well. So that can be another reason. Average time spent, and this is also a very important value that everyone should track. So if average time spent is less, that means your website is not engaging enough. So you have to beautify your website. You have to improve the content so that it becomes engaging from the customer. Or it is very engaging and the customer have too much trust, so they are straight away adding the product to the cart and proceeding to checkout. So that can be an inverse scenario and a very good one as well. Then you have enough orders. That is how many orders that you have received. Now, if you have decent amount of visits onto your online store, but your number of orders is low, so that there can be two scenarios. First is either the wrong traffic or wrong customers are coming to your online store. So that's where you have to modify the profiling part of it. Or the second reason could be that your website is not engaging. So that's where you have to amp up your sales promotion to get more conversions. Or order value, that is basically how many orders, the value of the orders that you have received. So we have received 2 orders worth 2,000 rupees. So 1,000 each is the value that I've assumed. Then you have your conversion rate. So what is the conversion rate that you're receiving? So out of 100 people that visited your online store, you got 2 orders. So you have a 2% conversion rate. So this is where, as a business owner, your objective is to get a high conversion rate as much as possible. So that can increase by increasing, firstly, the footfall that is coming to your online store. Secondly, increasing the engagement itself. So out of 100 people, if only 2 orders are receiving, can you make it 5? Can you make it 10? How can you make that 10? Should you offer more discount, or should you display your products differently, or should you add more information for the products so the customers can understand it? So that is where you have to focus. Then what was the promotional tool that you're using? This is also very important, because people keep focusing on this part of it, but like almost 50% of the activity happens when the person is on the online store itself. So what is the promotional tool, whether it is discount coupon or a scheme or a price discount? What is that tool that you are using? What was the offer that you're running? So that's where you can also evaluate the effectiveness of different offers that you're running. What is the advertising spend? So if you're running paid ads, how much have you spent? What is your cost per order? So for example, we have spent 1,000 rupees to get 2 orders. So that's where our cost per order is 500 rupees. So this is where, again, your objective is to bring this cost per order as low as possible. And that, again, can be done by increasing the engagement, increasing the conversion rate, which is there on your online store. And lastly, what is the ROI? So that is basically return on investment on the advertising spend. So this is where you can see it is 100%. So I've also added the formula on the top explanation box. So this is where you can see the formula for calculation for ROI. So now, many times people have asked me what should be an ideal ROI that one should look at. So Now, because it varies from business to business, it even varies from time to time. So for certain parts of year or during certain time frame, you'll have a very good ROI, and other times you may not have. So it keeps fluctuating so much that it is kind of impossible to kindly honestly share a particular number. But as long as it is positive, you are good. So as long as you're not burning money and you're not getting enough orders to at least equalize or break even your cost. So that's where, as long as that is happening, as long as you're break evening or you're just at equal, you are all good. Anything higher than that is fantastic, but your target should be to be at par with how much you're spending. At least if it is happening, that's where you're getting an order, you're getting a customer, you can get a repeat orders from that customer, and that's where you can scale it up further. So this is the measurement framework, which is also available, which you can utilize, and you can download it and do modifications as per your requirement. So this was the measurement framework I wanted to share with you, and this was the last element or this last topic in our discussion list here. What you'll be seeing on the screen are my contact details, and on the right side of the screen, no, sorry, left side of the screen, that is where you're seeing a QR code. So if you scan this QR code, that's where my contact details will directly get added to your phone. So you can either use this or use that. I've also chatted my contact details in the chat, so you can copy them from there as well. So depending on your requirement, whatever is more convenient, you can do that. Now, this is where we are breaking in for a question answer round. Now, this is where I'll just before I turn off the screen share and we can start having conversation amongst ourselves, I also wanted to request if I can just a second somehow. Actually, I wanted to share a small survey with everyone so that we can also have your feedback. But somehow I am not getting the link. So once I find the link, I'll share that with everyone so that we can have your feedback as well. So I hope everyone was able to have a look or copy my contact details. So I'll turn off the screen share. And now we will have a discussion amongst ourselves. How will we do this? So this where it can be done in three ways. One is you can raise your hand, I can unmute you, and then you can ask your question. Second is you can ask your question via the method of Q&A. So on your screen, you are seeing Q&A. So you can click there and you can ask your question, or you can also ask the question by the method of chat. So whichever is more convenient for you, you can use that. And in the meantime, while you are sharing your questions, let me also share with you. I promise that I'll be sharing the details of the GlobalLinker's YouTube channel and the links of the previous webinars that we have done. So this is where I've just started it. So please refer to that. And in addition to that, I also promise that I'll be sharing the link of that Google Sheet that we have used during this session. So I will also be adding that, or I'll also be sharing that shortly. So I can see questions have started coming. Yes, the first question is, can I see the recording of this video? Yes, definitely you can do that. I've just chatted the link of our YouTube channel. So recordings of this session is available there. So definitely you can go and you can review this session there. I can see one of the members has requested that if we can get the recording of this session. Yes, definitely we will be emailing the recording of this session to each and every participant. One of the member has also requested, I can see in the chat that they wanted the recording of the previous session. So I've just chatted the links in the chat. So you can review the recordings there. Yes, absolutely. We can. I'll just need a minute to share the link. So one of our other member has requested if we can share the Excel file that we were presenting. So I'll just need a minute. I'll take out the link and I'll share it with everyone here. In the meantime, keep asking the questions. So yes, absolutely. One of the member want my contact details. So let me just quickly share that once again with everyone. So I'm just chatting the details. So you can look at the chat and that's where you will find my details. And I'm also typing in the answer. Just give me a second so I can also all right. So one of the interesting question that I'm seeing is there are hundreds of visitors that are getting visiting the Google My Business listing, and the link of the website is also added there. However, the traffic is not coming to your online store. So that's where fundamentally you have to understand when someone is looking at your details, they are not looking at your web or looking for your website primarily. They are looking for a particular business, and that's where they come across your profile. And that's where if they are interested to understand more, or if they are interested to extract that, that's where they will visit your website. And one of the tools that you can use is Google Analytics. And how you can test it out whether the Google Analytics is working fine is you can have few of your friends or family members to visit your online store, and that's where you can check whether it is showing the real-time visitor count correctly or not. If it is showing the real-time visitor count correctly, that's where it is working fine. However, having the same kind of traffic coming to your website from your Google business listing is highly unlikely, because it is only if that person is interested or he or she clicks on your website link, only then they are navigating to your website and coming to your online store. Next question is how can e-commerce or GlobalLinker help in e-commerce business? So what we are doing here today is also helping you all in scaling up and growing your e-commerce business. However, if you need further assistance, then definitely please reach out to me. My contact details are there in the chat, and I'll have either myself or someone from my team will connect with you, who will understand your requirement and will definitely help you out with your e-commerce business. So as I was mentioning in or while I was explaining the different social media platforms, that's where I was sharing that Twitter is a platform which is very popular for public relations. So that's where you should ideally have that there, and you can then keep adding posts, and you can keep tagging people, and that's where you will be able to create a good amount of engagement there. LinkedIn on the same type whenever you are doing anything. So similarly, whenever you're doing a social media post, you're adding it on your Facebook. Similarly, you can add that on LinkedIn. But the only thing that you have to be conscious of is that the profile of the people or individuals is different what is there on Facebook and what is there on LinkedIn. So if you are a lifestyle or a fashion product, so then Facebook will be a better off platform as compared to LinkedIn. Or if you are a B2B business, then LinkedIn is a more important platform as compared to Facebook. And LinkedIn also offers advertising, so you can also explore that, and you can start advertising and start showcasing your product to the right audience. I can also see there are another question that I'm seeing is that there are visitors who are coming to the website, but the conversions are not happening. So that's where the problem is with the second aspect, or the second segment in the purchase or the business process that we discussed earlier. So your first part of the customer journey seems to be working fine as per what you have added there. The second part of the journey, that's where you have to focus. Firstly, from the website standpoint, is it engaging enough? It is presentable enough? So what kind of banners and visuals which are there on your website are they presentable? So firstly is look and feel, because human beings are visual beings. So nothing impresses us or nothing attracts us more than anything that is visually pleasing. So that is the starting point. Then the content itself. So when they are looking at the product, it is presented properly. It does not have proper images, product description, etc., etc., all that. And then the third part, which is your customer reviews, etc. So have you added testimonials? Have you added customer reviews? Because that's where fundamentally understand that any customer who's coming or any person who's visiting your website, unless they know you personally, they'll not be as confident as compared to buying on any popular brand, because that's where their confidence level is on a different level. Here you have to build that confidence. So that's where your customer reviews, etc., also becomes very important. And then also adding other informations about your business, and adding information with respect to what has been your story, if there's a social cause that you're associated with, that kind of information that builds the customers trust in. Then you can the entire purchase process. So is your checkout process easy? Are the payment options, etc., like cash on delivery, etc.? A lot of people try out for the first time using cash on delivery, etc. So are all those available? Or if is your shipping charges too high? So that's another question that you can look at. So that's where you have to fix all this. And now, in addition to do that, what you can do is you can kind of do a focus group. So that's where you can have a few friendlies that you know, and then bring them, have a discussion around your website. What are the challenges, very bluntly and very honestly, that you're seeing, or what kind of impression do they have, and would they want to buy? What, and if not, then why would they not? On what should be there on your website which should make them buy? So you can also have this kind of a focus group session with 8-10 friendlies that should also give you a outside person's perspective, a lot of good insights why this conversion is not happening. Another question is around what should be an effective frequency of in-app notifications. So now these days, you'll see a lot of apps do send like 10, 12, 20 notification during the day, and which is very irritating a lot of times for the customers. So now that also depends on how your customer is kind of experiencing it, or what is their expectation with your business. From a typical platform, more than a couple notifications during the day will be kind of annoying. So that's where you can keep it low. 1 or 2 notifications during the day should be fine to start with. And once you scale up, you have better understanding what a customer is liking and not liking, or if it is a sales season, that's where you can increase that a little further. But don't push it to an extent that's where it becomes very annoying and they start either deactivating the notifications or installing the app itself. Contact details, I had shared it here as well, as I'll do it once again. I've chanted my details once again here. I can see a few more questions are here in the Q&A sections. So another question is around the recording of the video. So yes, it will be available. And in fact, we'll be emailing it to everyone who's attending this session. And in addition to that, it will be available on our YouTube channel as well. So I think this is where we have answered all the questions. Before we conclude today's session, if there is any question, yes, there was one last thing I promised that I'll be sharing. So let's just give me a couple of seconds. Let me take out the link and let me just chat it here. Sorry, my bad. I was chatting my details, but I didn't realize that host and panelist was selected. So now I am chatting them once again to everyone. So I've chatted my details. Let me also chat the GlobalLinker's YouTube channel and previous webinars recording links. So that's the second chat that you'll see from me. And now let me just also take out the Google Sheet link. So this is the third one. So I hope everyone has received all the 3 chats. So first is my contact details. Second is the GlobalLinker's YouTube channel and links to recording of the previous 2 webinars that we have conducted. And the third is the link to the Google Sheet that we have. So in the meantime, before we conclude this session, if you have any questions, if you have any queries, you already have my contact details, so you can reach out to me. I'm not able to copy the above, not a problem. What I'll do is I'll start sharing my screen once again. And this is where you have the screen. So you can just take a screenshot of this. So you have my email as well as my contact number, or the QR code that you're seeing. If you scan that, it will add my visiting card to your contact. So you can just take a screenshot or copy it from the screen, whichever is more convenient. So I'll keep the screen on for the next few seconds. Right, I hope everyone is able to get my details. And before I conclude the session, let me share all the details once again for everyone's reference. Firstly, my contact details. Second are our YouTube channel and links to the previous webinars. And the third one is now, in case still you are having difficulty in getting my contact details, not a problem. What I'll do is I'll also add these details to the description of the recording of this webinar, which will be there on our YouTube channel. So just go to YouTube and that's where search for GlobalLinker, which you are seeing above my head as well. So you have to just search for this, and on our channel, you'll find recording of this webinar. And in the description of the webinar, I'll add my contact details. I'll add the links to the recording of previous webinars. And I'll also add the link of the Google Sheet that we discussed during the session. So I'll add all these details, need not worry. All right. So this is where we'll conclude today's webinar. And once again, thank you everyone for taking out time and participating in this webinar. Have a wonderful